There's a lot of research done about the two main barriers to cycle take-up. The first one was cycle safety, and the second one was the fear that your bike would be stolen. Casualty reduction now for the police is a priority, and it's something that we get measured on and we're very active in trying to tackle. In terms of cycle safety, what the Met has done, working in partnership with Transport for London, is created the cycle safety team. So the team was formed in 2010, and their focus is on dealing with what we call share the road issues between cyclists and other motorists, and concentrating on low-level offences, so seatbelt wearing, using mobile phones, distractions, but also targeting cyclists who jump red lights, cycle on pavements, don't have lights at appropriate times of years.
At the moment, lorries pose the biggest danger to cyclists on London streets. What we'd really like to see is the introduction of more direct vision lorries, where the driver can see more of what's going on around them. They're much safer, and they're more kind of appropriate for an urban environment. So we'd like to do away with the kind of illegal construction lorries that maybe don't conform to safety standards, or they're not really adapted to driving in an urban environment.
Quite a lot of cyclists aren't aware of the blind spots on HGVs. If you can't see the wing mirrors of the lorry driver can't see you. What isn't obvious until you've actually been in the cab is if you're within 2 or 3 feet of the front of the lorry, it's unlikely the lorry driver will see you. And even if you're down the side of the lorry, below the mirrors or slightly back from the mirrors, he probably can't see you or she can't see you either. There's been work about to change the sight lines on lorries, so you may have seen the EU now recommending lower cab heights and more glass in the driver's doors, so all the sight lines are improved.
When you say to people, why don't you cycle, it's always, I don't feel it's safe enough. Not in London, I'd be mad to do that. Although I have to say, in actual risk terms, cycling's about the same as golf or tennis in the actual risk of the percentage of time you do it, but then that's still hard to explain when someone gets killed by a turning HGV. You've got to overcome that that perception of safety barrier. But you do have to do these large schemes that shows that you're completely separated from traffic. You can ride right across London now, never actually be bothered by any of the motor vehicles. So boots will look safe, but will also be safe as well. I think that's the key. That's when you start enticing more and more people to do it.
A lot of people have to use busy main roads, which there's sort of high volumes of traffic and high speeds, so we'd like to see more protected space for cycling on those roads. Also, junctions are a key thing, so they're some of the most dangerous places for cyclists to tackle, so we'd like them to be addressed and for sort of cycle lanes and better infrastructure put in place so people can get through those junctions safely.
I've been working on cycling for 15 years, and people have been campaigning for this since the 70s, and now we've finally got a route. Now, if we were trying to ape the Dutch, then every 400 metres would have another parallel route like that.
5% of London's roads are controlled by TfL, and the remaining roads are controlled by borough councils, so that's 95% controlled by 33 different boroughs. So you get a lot of varying infrastructure, which is a shame and doesn't really give people a joined up A to B route if they want to cycle from one borough across 2 boroughs to another. So it's really important that actually people are working together and there's a really joined up network of cycle routes, otherwise you're not going to get people cycling.
The problem with bicycles is they're highly mobile, they are valuable, and there is a ready supply of willing people wanting to buy a bicycle. Most bikes that get stolen are sold within 24 hours, normally through online auction sites, tending to be Gumtree, eBay to a certain extent, but because you have to register your details on eBay, that's a less likely route. And also what we're seeing now very much on other sites, but definitely the process of Facebook being used now. What we've also done is very much making people aware about the vulnerability of their bike. You should spend as much as you can afford on buying a good quality lock for your bike. We have other problems with people not locking their bikes properly, so they have quick release skewers on their wheels, but only lock the frames to the stand, which means their wheels are stolen. Likewise, Brooks saddles and other high-end saddles. People really should be looking at all-round security on their bikes. So what we recommend is fitting security skewers to the wheels, making sure that bolts are security fitted, but probably more importantly actually taking ownership of their bike. So we've had loads of crime reports come in to say that my bike has been stolen, and when we've gone to the victim and say, tell us about your bike, they go, well, it's black, it's got 2 wheels, it's saddle. Do you know the make? No. Do you know the model? No. Do you know the frame number? No. And if you buy it from a larger retailer in London, then they're unlikely to keep the frame number on their database because it's not in their interest to do so. As soon as you purchase the bike, the first thing you do is record the frame number. And then we've worked in partnership for the last 5 years with a company called Bike Register, which offers an online database which is used by all 43 police forces in the UK, and registers much details about your bike on there as possible. Over the last 5 years, we've marked in excess of 300,000 bikes in London. Bear in mind, it's 800,000 journeys today. That's still only a third of the bikes out there being used on a daily basis. The more we know about where the bikes have been stolen from, what type of bikes have been stolen, and other information, the more intelligence we have, the more we can target those locations and actually bring the offenders to justice. The other thing we ask is, if your bike is stolen, then you report it to the police. There is evidence to suggest that only 1 in 4 cycle crimes in the UK are reported to the police, but following recent surveys by both Transport for London and the British Crime Survey of England and Wales, in London that's down to about just over 1 in 2, between 1 in 2 and 1 in 3. So that's actually a reflection of confidence that Londoners have in the police being interested in cycle crime. We're now looking at sort of just over 17,000 offences a year in London. I think there's about 80,000 in the UK as a whole recorded. But when we started, we were looking at sort of 25,000 offences a year in London being recorded.